Part 86. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 851. Mengping's project, the pile foundation construction is still in progress, and the earthwork has not been excavated before it is sold. He said he was testing the water temperature, and the results were good. Mengping called Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan and talked with them. He said, "Haha, Hu Hansen, am about to turn over." Mengping enlarged the rendering drawn by Zhang Chen and erected it towards the entrance of Xinjia. It was 3 stories high, taller than the bronze statue of Sun Yat-sen leaning on a cane created by Dai Guangguan in the center of the street. It was quite eye-catching. From the erected that day, it caused a sensation in Nanjing. Everyone knew that the future tallest building in Nanjing would be here. In addition, Mengping made the groundbreaking ceremony of the project not the start of construction of the building, but the most important political event in the province. Provincial and municipal TV stations and newspapers reported this event on the headlines. This project can be said to have started from the day the construction started. It became the focus of the entire city. When it was put on sale, it was impossible to usher in a wave of purchases. In addition, at that time, Zhejiang had a developed private economy and Jiangsu had a developed township and village enterprise. What those township and village enterprises liked to do most was to set up an office in the seat of the provincial capital, which not only served the business needs of the enterprise, but also served as a welcoming place for the enterprise and the local government. To meet the needs of rural enterprises, many CEOs of township and village enterprises also serve as village directors, town mayors, and even deputy county magistrates. In addition, Mr. Chiao and the others can make mortgages. For these companies, only what goes into their pockets is money. As for the debts owed to external parties, they are not money at all, just numbers. What are they afraid of if they add another sum? Mengping's project was difficult to sell, and many companies and enterprises that were waiting for him to sell it refused to agree. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan originally wanted to take some time to visit Mengping, but unfortunately they were both very busy and did not have time. Lu Ligan's splendid Xiangting and splendid Jiangnan projects, sales have entered the final stage. The bleak sales situation of Jingxiu Xiangting has improved because the community itself is equipped with a kindergarten. When the Jingxiu Xiangting kindergarten was still under construction, Lu Ligan gave up his plan to open a kindergarten. He felt that the high fees of private kindergartens were a big problem and were unattractive to residents. The subsequent management of this kindergarten is even more of a big problem. You must know that the kindergarten is full of children. If any child has any problems, he cannot bear it. He simply donated this kindergarten to the District Education Committee free of charge and asked them to open a branch of the Qinbei kindergarten here. The District Education Committee was of course very happy. With ready-made houses and complete facilities, it would be enough to send the principal and teachers there. As for Lu Ligan demanded that children in the community must collect everything they should. This is of course no problem. The two parties quickly signed a donation ceremony for the first branch of Qinbei Kindergarten. With a public kindergarten, the sales situation of this community has been optimistic all the way, especially those young men and women who have made money. When they see the kindergarten, they think of the baby they will have soon. This is something you cannot see in other communities. They paid the money immediately. As for the splendid Jiangnan project, before Building C was put on sale, the prices of the second-hand houses in Buildings A and B that had been sold out were already increasing. This made many people have expectations for Building C. Yingying suggested their Building C opened with a sales price of RMB 3,800, and buyers are still enthusiastic. In addition to these two projects, the city government comprehensive office building project is also in full swing. Director Zhou and Lu Ligan said that they hope that the new office building can be opened before the National Day. Of course, Lu Ligan also hopes so. Tianxiang building is still waiting for its 3-story podium building and underground parking lot. Lu Ligan's Peach Blossom Land project has also started construction. In addition, the Hangcheng rubber factory has begun to relocate in stages. Lu Ligan and his demolition team have entered the Hangcheng rubber factory and started demolition. Jason and his team came over again, looking at the Jiangmen Hangcheng rubber factory area. Lu Ligan named it Splendid Jiantang. The Splendid Jiantang project will appear as the first high-rise residential community in Hangzhou. The Jiantang River can be seen from the balcony of every household. This is Lu Ligan's request for Jason and the others. With so many projects going on at the same time, Lu Ligan couldn't be too busy. Fortunately, Ying Ying could handle them all by herself. How did Lu Ligan feel when he looked at this little girl with an average appearance and a round face? The more I watch, the happier I am. The things she does always seem to be beyond her actual age. There were dozens of big brothers and sisters in the sales offices under her sales department, and they were managed obediently by her. It was strange that Lu Ligan couldn't figure out what method she used. One Saturday, Lu Ligan specially invited Ying Xiahua, the old director of Hangcheng Spoke Factory, and his daughter Ying Ying to go to Zhongshenji for dinner. This time Lu Ligan did not bring Wenwen and Qian, but only when the three of them were eating. Ying Xiahua certainly couldn't forget to express his gratitude to Lu Ligan for taking care of his daughter, and said to him, "Mr. Lu, I read you right. You are indeed true to your word. You have accomplished all the things you promised me, and I will always obey." Lu Ligan and Ying Xiahua said, "Lao Ying, I am not asking you to thank me today, I am here to thank you specifically." "Thank me? Those people in the spoke factory haven't left yet, and you haven't developed it yet? What's there to thank you for?" Ying Xiahua wondered. Lu Ligan said, "Whether that place is developed or not, it doesn't matter to me at all. I thank you. When you sold the spoke factory, you sold Ying Ying to me as well. Now to me, Ying Ying is worth more than 10 spoke factories, that's why I thank you." Ying Xiahua burst into tears all of a sudden. Ying Xiahua and Ying Ying said, "As the old saying goes, a scholar will die for his confidant. You are not a scholar, but what you have today is all given to you by Mr. Lu. You must remember it." Ying Ying nodded. Ying Xiahua continued, "In this life, you will work with Mr. Lu. Unless Mr. Lu doesn't want you, you are not allowed to change units. Even if they pile a gold mountain in front of you and want to poach you, you are not allowed to be tempted. Do you understand?" Ying Ying said, "I know, Dad." With Ying Ying in sales, Lu Ligan can rest assured. Fortunately, in terms of engineering, he has the help of Lao Tan and Lao Wan. Although Lao Tan is only the manager of the decoration department, he is on the same level as Lu Ligan. He has a special relationship, no matter which project he works on, and if there are any problems he sees, he will take care of things that should not be dealt with. Others are willing to ask him, and what he is actually doing is the work of the vice president. Lu Ligan discussed with him and simply proposed him as the vice president. Lao Tan said that he would not do anything. He said that the position of vice president should be reserved for young people. Lao Wan was good and he could make up for his mistakes in culture. He could be the vice president. Lu Ligan and Lao Tan said, "I know Lao Wan, but it will take time for him to become the vice president. You are now the department manager, but you are actually doing the work of the vice president. This is not justified, it's not going well. In this case, you will be the vice president first. When Lao Wan is qualified, you can then promote him to the position of vice president. When the time comes, can't you just hand over part of the work to him?" What Lu Ligan said makes sense when Lao Tan thinks about it. The most important thing is that he doesn't care about other things on the construction site. He can't stand it and wants to take care of it. That's really not his business. How can he be nosy? Suspicion, what Lu Ligan said is justifiable, and it is really necessary for a company or a person. Therefore, Lao Tan accepted the position of vice president and is now the vice president and manager of the decoration department. With these people, Lu Ligan felt a little more relaxed. He felt that what he should focus on next was buying, buying, buying. Otherwise, by the time the Wang Jiangmen project was completed, other projects would have been completed long ago. He, Lu Ligan, will have no projects to do except a Peach Blossom Spring. As for Peach Blossom Spring, he originally planned to work slowly and carefully, and to do it at the same time as other projects. Wang Chao was right about one thing. Now it is not that simple to get land in Hangzhou. When Lu Ligan wanted to talk to many factories in the city, he found that he had already talked with several people, either openly or covertly. The good days of contacting and begging for your own acquisition seemed to be over. Lu Ligan bought a map of Hangzhou and posted it in his office. Like Zhang Chen, he also marked the location of his project with a 5-pointed star on the map. When he was free, he always liked to stare at it. Looking at the map, it seems like half an hour and an hour. When Lu Ligan stared at the map, he would always think of Wang Chao's words. Zhang Chen was right about this guy. He was really smarter than himself and Zhang Chen. He could always see out of the chaos. The key to the problem is how the hell he is such a person, otherwise, they can become very good friends. Lu Ligan suddenly felt towards Wang Chao, as if a beautiful woman could become a thief, and couldn't help but sit there and laugh. Wen Wen was walking in, looked at him, and cursed, "Are you crazy again?" "Yes, do you have any medicine?" Lu Ligan asked. "I won't give you any medicine," Wen Wen snorted. "Okay," Lu Ligan said, "you can keep it for yourself." "What did you say?" Wen Wen raised her eyebrows and walked towards Lu Ligan. She was about to use violence. Lu Ligan quickly shouted, "No flirting during working hours." "Get out!" Wen Wen glared at him, turned around and walked out. After Wen Wen left, Lu Ligan still stared at the map. He remembered Wang Chao's words again. Wang Chao said that the next period will be the most chaotic and difficult period for the real estate market in Hangzhou. Chaos and difficulties, Lu Lirod has already felt it, but how to get out of this chaos and difficulty is what he is most concerned about. He doesn't have any industry, no shock absorber factory, where he can retreat. Lu Ligan, only know real estate. I will probably only be able to deal with real estate for the rest of my life. If he wants to get out of this chaos, Lu Ligan feels that the answer to the problem is also in the map in front of him, or outside the map, in the gray area around him. As long as the city develops, this area will become colorful and be incorporated into the city. Lu Ligan felt that he seemed to have seen the direction clearly. He felt that he must look for opportunities in the development of the city and do big things, rather than doing small projects one by one. Only doing big things is what Wang Chao said. Even if the demons and monsters want to catch up, they are unable to catch up with you. Thank you to the 1,000 years of White Vote Party and Daily Reader for your rewards. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 852. When Lu Ligan and Meng Ping were busy, Zhang Chen was also very busy. Miss Lin called him and said to him, "Mr. Zhang, thank you, I am really happy, your clothes are selling well in Taiwan. I'm going to replenish the goods immediately. Brother Lu told me that you had a hard time catching up the goods last time. It's heartbreaking to hear it, Mr. Zhang. How about we do this time? Mr. Zhang, I will replenish the first batch of goods first. Don't replenish so many goods at one time. Separately, I will replenish the goods once every 2 weeks and send out one 20-foot container at a time. Mr. Zhang, you say yes." Zhang Chen said yes. Ms. Lin immediately faxed over an order and contract, totaling more than 18,000 pieces of clothing. Zhang Chen sat there and let out a long breath. It seemed that the star over Taiwan could hang stably there and would not become a shooting star. Although Miss Lin said that goods would be delivered once every 2 weeks and told him not to be so anxious, Zhang Chen still wanted to rush forward. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, was right. Zhang Chen himself had experienced it. In foreign trade, he had to rush forward for everything. Because the shipping time is fixed, you rush ahead for everything, and all you gain is your own time. Zhang Chen hadn't even received Ms. Lin's deposit yet. It would take 2 days for the deposit to be transferred from Taipei to their company account through the SWIFT channel. Zhang Chen decided not to wait any longer and sent the order. Zhao Zhigang looked at it and said to Zhang Chen, "The fabrics are still there. Then arrange the production immediately." Zhang Chen said. "Aren't you waiting for a deposit?" "No need, there will be no problem with Miss Lin." Even Zhang Chen himself didn't know why he had a strong sense of trust in Miss Lin. It was probably because of Han Emperor Liu Bang. Although this time the deposit and even the order did not go through Han Emperor Liu Bang, he might not even have Lin. The lady has already placed the order and she doesn't even know yet. If there is any problem with the deposit, Zhang Chen will certainly not be able to find him. But Zhang Chen was convinced that there would be no problem with Miss Lin here. 2 days later, Ms. Lin's deposit arrived. When she called to ask what day of the week she needed to book a ship, Zhang Chen told her that the shipment would be ready in 3 days. "Really, Mr. Zhang? Is it really that fast?" Miss Lin shouted. Zhang Chen was very happy that he could tell her that this was true. "It had been in production for 2 days in our workshop. Of course Miss Lin knows what this means." Thank you, Mr. Zhang, I'm so happy, I want to hug you, thank you." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I should be the one thanking you. Thank you for placing the order with us." "No, Mr. Zhang, I'm almost crying," Miss Lin said and hung up the phone. After the first experience, this time the cabinet was really smooth, with no bumps in the middle. Miss Lin seemed to be thanking Zhang Chen for his trust in her when she just informed them of the shipping date. And paid all the money for the goods. Even Xiao Zhao was shocked. She said, "Miss Lin, isn't she afraid that we will cheat her?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Can you do it?" "No." Xiao Zhao shook his head, "I think she is very nice. Besides, there is Brother Liu." "My dear, do you think Miss Lin is a very nice person?" Zhang Chen nodded casually and walked away, probably because of what Liu Ligan said last time. When he thinks of Miss Lin or receives her call, Zhang Chen will naturally feel a sense of closeness. And this feeling of closeness will make Zhang Chen feel unnatural in front of Xiao Zhao. Zhang Chen went to the factory and walked to the distribution center. Zheng Huiyang saw him and said to him, "Mr. Zhang, it's strange." "What's wrong?" "Last night, a guy from San Francisco called us and asked about our clothing. Just now, another guy from Hamburg called us and asked." Liu Ligan laughed. Zheng Huiyang looked at him and said strangely, "Mr. Zhang, why are you laughing?" "It shows that the teacher Ma you introduced is reliable," Zhang Chen said. "Which teacher Ma?" Zheng Huiyang asked. Zhang Chen said, "Just the Chinese yellow pages." "It turns out his last name is Ma." Zheng Huiyang also laughed. "He said a lot that day. I remembered what he said, but I forgot what his last name was. I can't remember it no matter how hard I tried." Zhang Chen told Zheng Huiyang about teacher Ma's visit to his office that day. Zhang Chen told her that when he wrote down his contact number, he thought that foreigners would just call him. He didn't understand English and didn't know what they were saying. "Write down Zheng Huiyang's phone number. Later, when I was busy, I forgot about this matter. I actually thought in my heart that this teacher Ma might be just like Wang Chao said." He was fooling himself. Where can there be such a fool? When sending your own information to the United States, you must know that the postage to the United States is not cheap. Later, teacher Ma didn't contact him again. Zhang Chen thought the matter was over. It turned out that he had actually sent it to the United States, and apparently their company's page had appeared on the internet. "Mr. Zhang, are you telling the truth?" Zheng Huiyang shouted. "Did our company's homepage really appear on the internet? Otherwise, why would anyone call you?" Zheng Huiyang suddenly realized, "So that's it, okay, I understand, Mr. Zhang. I thought these calls were random calls, so I'm going to write them down carefully. When they call again, I'll know how to tell them, I want to welcome them." "What do you mean?" Zhang Chen asked. "Welcome them to China, welcome them to our company to discuss business," Zheng Huiyang said. "Mr. Zhang, don't you welcome them?" "Welcome, welcome, of course," Zhang Chen said quickly. Zheng Huiyang took a pen and paper and started writing. After writing a few words, she put down the pen, turned around and said to Zhang Chen, "What should I do, Mr. Zhang? I'm so excited, my heart is pounding." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Why are you excited? Our homepage appears on the internet. How many companies in the country can be on the internet?" When Zheng Huiyang said it, Zhang Chen also became excited. It was true when he thought about it. Teacher Ma also said that when he was in the United States at the beginning of the year, when he searched for China, the bottom was blank. Now there are several, and they are all his. The customers, myself, are now among the few across the country. Zheng Huiyang clasped her hands in front of her chest, tilted her head upward, and said with endless yearning, "I really want to see what our company's homepage looks like on the internet." After Zheng Huiyang finished speaking, she sighed again, "Oh, it's a pity that I haven't even seen what the internet is like." Zhang Chen looked at Zheng Huiyang, thought for a moment, and said, "Zheng Huiyang, can I help you realize this wish?" Zheng Huiyang turned around, looked at Zhang Chen and asked, "Mr. Zhang, what did you say? Didn't you say that Beijing can access the internet?" "I will send you to Beijing to go online and see what our company's website looks like," Zhang Chen said. "Really, Mr. Zhang?" Zheng Huiyang shouted. "Of course, you have performed very well during this period, and this is also a reward for you," Zhang Chen said. "That's great, Mr. Zhang, thank you," Zheng Huiyang exclaimed excitedly, but immediately became depressed again. "Let's forget it, it's useless, even if we go to Beijing." "Why is it useless?" Zhang Chen asked. "Mr. Zhang, you forgot what I told you. In Beijing, there are only places like the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Tsinghua University, and Peking University where you can go." "How can I get to these places?" Zheng Huiyang said in a loud voice. "I will arrange it, Zheng Huiyang. When you arrive in Beijing, go to Xiaoli's place. I will definitely let you access the internet." Zhang Chen thought to himself, whether it was the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Peking University, or Tsinghua University, if he approached Sun Ho and asked him to help find connections, he would definitely be able to find a way for Zheng Huiyang to access the internet. Didn't Sun Ho himself belong to Peking University? "Zheng Huiyang, you can take tomorrow's flight to Beijing," Zhang Chen said. "I will make other arrangements." No, Mr. Zhang, the plane is too expensive, I can just take the train," Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Don't you know that it's difficult to buy a sleeper ticket to Beijing?" "It doesn't matter. As long as I can access the internet, it doesn't matter if I stand in Beijing. I used to stand on the train a lot and even slept under the seat," Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen scolded, "Zheng Huiyang, you are on a business trip. I sent you to Beijing to surf the internet. Our company will let you sleep under the seat? Also, isn't it said that time is money? It costs a lot to take the train back and forth. How long will it take? You can go by plane tomorrow and come back the day after tomorrow. The distribution center still needs you, do you understand?" Zheng Huiyang stuck out her tongue, flattened her mouth and nodded repeatedly, "I understand, Mr. Zhang." "Then go to the finance department to get money and buy a plane ticket," Zhang Chen said. "Okay, Mr. Zhang, Zheng Huiyang said softly. Zhang Chen returned to the office, sat down, and called Sun Ho to tell him about it. Sun Ho didn't know what he was doing online and how he got on the internet. Zhang Chen explained to him for a long time, and Zhang Chen felt that he was getting more and more excited. The more confused he became, the more confused Sun Ho listened. However, Sun Ho heard that the Chinese Academy of Sciences and Peking University and Tsinghua University could go to it, so he said, Zhang Chen, let your people come. It's okay, you can find people in these places. After putting down the phone, Sun Ho probably went to find out about the internet. 10 minutes later, he called Zhang Chen and told Zhang Chen, this matter is not as mysterious as you said. Not only the Chinese Academy of Sciences and Peking University and Tsinghua University, you can attend any of the more than 30 research institutes in Zhongguancun. My classmate's father is the director of the Institute of Automation. You can attend it in his office. It doesn't matter if your people come over for half a day. That's great, thank you Sun Ho. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen walked out, wanting to go to the distribution center and tell Zheng Huiyang the news. As soon as he walked out of the door, he saw Zheng Huiyang coming out of the finance room excitedly. Zhang Chen quickly stopped her and gave her Sun Ho's phone number. Having said that, Zheng Huiyang shouted. Great, I'm going to go online. Thank you Lulu6717P11 and Chu Chang Jun for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 853. When Teacher Ma appeared in Zhang Chen's office again, he brought a piece of paper. He handed the paper to Zhang Chen. It was all in English, and Zhang Chen couldn't understand it. Teacher Ma solemnly told Zhang Chen that I asked the American company to fax it over, confirming that your company's homepage is online. Mr. Zhang, you can call now and ask your friends abroad to verify whether you can be found online. Zhang Chen smiled and said, no need to fight. Why, Teacher Ma asked, as promised last time, I will pay for the international long distance. Zhang Chen continued to smile and said, I know our homepage is already online. Mr. Zhang, how did you know? Because someone has already called. Someone has already called. So soon? Haha. Teacher Ma sat there and clapped his hands happily, as if the call was for him, or in other words, he was more excited than the call. Did it work, Mr. Zhang? Zhang Chen nodded and said to him, although we haven't concluded a deal yet, I believe it will be effective. The two people were talking when the phone on Zhang Chen's desk rang. As soon as Zhang Chen picked it up, Zheng Huiyang's voice came from the phone. Although she was very excited, her voice was still ringing. Zhang Chen, when he heard it was her, he simply pressed the hands-free button. Mr. Zhang, I'm online. I saw our company. Our company is really online. Great, Zhang Chen said. Zheng Huiyang, what does it look like? It looks so long, oh, Mr. Zhang, I can't explain it, but it just looks good, Zheng Huiyang said, and Zhang Chen laughed. Teacher Ma was surprised and asked Zhang Chen, is she that little girl from your Sanbeo? Where did she get online? Zhang Chen said with some pride, I sent her to Beijing to get online, and now she is at the Institute of Automation of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Zhang Chen, wait, uncle, he found the camera. Sun Ho's voice came over the phone, he took a photo of your company and asked Xiao Zheng to take it back. Okay, thank you monkey, and thank your uncle for me too. Zhang Chen knew that this uncle should be Sun Ho's father, the director. You're welcome, Zhang Chen, it's a trivial matter, Sun Ho said. Sun Ho, it's a small thing for you, but it's a big deal for us. Thank you, Zhang Chen said, while teacher Ma kept nodding beside him. Mr. Zhang, I also applied for an email address for our company, and I wrote emails to several customers. Zheng Huiyang continued, Uncle is very nice. He said that if customers reply to our emails, he will print it out and fax it to us. Mr. Zhang, I can send it via email. Teacher Ma came over and said, Xiao Zheng, congratulations. You may be the first person in Hangzhou or even Zhejiang who can write emails. Teacher Ma, is that you? Zheng Huiyang asked. Yes, it's me, I'm here with your boss Zhang, Teacher Ma said. Zhang Chen looked at Teacher Ma, surprised, and asked, You don't know how to send emails? Teacher Ma shook his head, I can't even get online, how could I post it? What about your contact with American companies? Zhang Chen asked. Call, write, send fax, Teacher Ma said. When Zhang Chen heard the call, the uncle seemed to be saying to Sun Ho, they from Zhejiang are so good at making money. They can't even get online, so they start an online business. Yes, Wenzhou people can't even speak Mandarin, so they traveled all over the country. That day, a man came to my place to sell business card boxes and business card holders. We had to write on paper so that I could really understand what he had to say. Sun Ho said, Here, Zhang Chen and Teacher Ma both laughed. Teacher Ma said, Wenzhou people not only travel all over the country, they can't even recognize the English letters, but they travel all over the world. When I was in the United States, I met someone doing business. Wenzhou people can't speak Mandarin, let alone English. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen called Zhao Jingjing over and asked her to give 20,000 yuan to Teacher Ma. Before Teacher Ma left, he said to Zhang Chen, Mr. Zhang, if that email is faxed, can you fax it to Mr. Ma? I have one, and I also want to see what the email looks like. Zhang Chen said yes, when the time comes, I will ask Zheng Huiyang to find you and ask her to tell you how she wrote the email. That's great, Teacher Ma shouted. Lu Ligan stared at the map on the wall. He saw a river running through the city. One end of this river was interrupted at Huancheng North Road. Originally, it was connected to the Jiangnan Canal on the other side of Huancheng North Road. The other end is also interrupted when it reaches Hefang Street, and the place where it is interrupted is called Duanhita. This river is called Zhenchen River because its connection with the Jiangnan Canal was the original ancient Zhenchen Gate. Zhenchen River is light blue on the map, but it is actually dark and smelly. It is a smelly river. Only for mosquitoes and rats, this is a paradise. The Zhenchen River was originally a dead river, connected to the other end of the Jiangnan Canal. When the Huancheng North Road was rebuilt, it was buried underground. Only 2 culverts were connected to the Jiangnan Canal. This culvert has not been dredged for a long time. Half of it was clogged by the silt at the bottom of the river, and the other half was clogged by garbage and water hyacinth on the river surface. The water quality of the canal is already poor, but when it comes here, it can only be described as unbearable to witness. In addition to the sewers from surrounding factories and residential areas, the outlets were built into the Zhenchen River, turning this area directly into a city sewage river. Alongside the Zhenchen River, there are also Zhejiang 1, Zhejiang 2, and Hang 3. 3 major hospitals, the final destination of a lot of their medical waste, is also here. The Zhenchen River passes through the urban area, but both sides of the river are deserted, more like a suburb. Even the leaves of the vegetables grown by the farmers in the vegetable fields here will wither, not to mention the people, everyone does. Stay away from it as much as possible. Even in houses 50 or 60 meters away, the windows facing the river were not dared to be opened. If even a vegetable seller knows that your vegetables are grown in the vegetable fields beside the Zhenchen River, no one will care about Lian's vegetables. In the summer, the Zhenchen River looks beautiful. There is a thick layer of water hyacinth on the river, which looks green. People who don't know it think it is a clean grassland. Everyone who knows it knows that it is full of green. Underneath is where the real evil and evil lies. In autumn and winter, the water hyacinths say goodbye to this world and sink to the bottom of the river. The few willow trees on both sides of the river have all their leaves blown away by the autumn wind. The entire Gentian River looks desolate. A gust of autumn wind blows, blowing the stench from the river to Jifang Road, Qingchun Road, and Fengqi Road, the main streets of Hangzhou, approaching both sides of the Gentian River. People in this urban wilderness quickly quicken their pace. I want to escape from this stench, but it can chase people on the street for a long distance. If one were to label a place with notorious, the people of Hangzhou would leave it to Gentian River without hesitation. Lu Ligan stood up, walked out of the office, and walked downstairs. He told Wenwen Qianqian, "Let's go." Qianqian asked, "Where to go?" "Take you to see the scenery," Lu Ligan said. Wenwen and Qianqian got on Lu Ligan's Hutuban. Lu Ligan drove it to the parking lot of Zhejiang No. 1 hospital. Wenwen and Qianqian were surprised and asked, "Why are we in the hospital? Who is hospitalized?" Lu Ligan said, "You don't need to check whether my gun has misfired. Get out." The two men cursed in unison, and Lu Ligan laughed. The three people got out of the car. Lu Ligan took them out of the hospital gate and turned left. After walking a few steps, they smelled the stench coming from the Gentian River. They walked to Wanhe Bridge, which was level with Jifang Road. Wenwen frowned and shouted, "What are you doing here? Don't be nagging about work." Lu Lizang scolded Wenwen and stopped. Although these two people are difficult to deal with and are not forgiving, when you talk to them about work, they will still distinguish the priorities and ask them to complete any tasks. No matter how difficult the task is, they will not hesitate. At this time, water hyacinths have not yet grown on the Gentian River, but the water surface is already green, with thin pieces of green duckweed floating on it. The stone fences on both sides of the river have been in disrepair for a long time, and many places have collapsed. Lu Ligan, I found a road through the weeds beside Wanhe Bridge. Not long after I walked out, the road disappeared. Wenwen and Qianqian did not follow him down. Lu Ligan walked back. The three of them stood on the Wanhe Bridge and looked at the Gentian River on both sides. Wenwen said, "Can you tell me what the hell do you want to do?" "I want to walk along this river," Lu Ligan said. "There is no road, how do you go?" Wenwen asked. Lu Lepole scratched his head, he really didn't know how to go. "Walk from the river," Qianqian said. "Let's take a walk, get in the car, and go back to the company." Lu Ligan glared at her and cursed, "Why are you going back to the company? Go get the key, pig." "Did you put the key to the door of Gentian power plant in the car?" Qianqian asked. "That's right." Lu Ligan remembered that Gentian power plant is beside the Gentian River, and he has bought the Gentian power plant. However, it is a provincial cultural relic protection unit and can only be developed for protection and cannot be demolished. Gentian power plant has a dock next to the Gentian River. Lu Ligan wondered if the original people who dug this broken river were just to transport coal to the Gentian power plant. They returned to the company, took the keys to the Gentian power plant, and drove to the Gentian power plant. After entering the gate, Lu Ligan drove the car to the dock near the Gentian River. When they arrived, Lu Ligan was overjoyed. He saw on the shore of the pier, there is a small wooden boat with its bottom upturned. The wooden boat is very old. Qianqian walked around the boat, looked back and forth and said, "It's okay, this boat can still be used." Lu Ligan asked curiously, "How do you know?" "My fisherman, do you think I know about it?" Qianqian rolled her eyes at him and said angrily. Not bad, Lu Ligan smiled, "it took no effort at all. I didn't expect to meet an expert." Wenwen and Qianqian were on one end, and Lu Ligan was on the other. The three of them turned the boat over. There were several cabin boards scattered on the ground, and Qianqian threw them into the cabin. The three people carried the boat to the river and slid it into the river. Qian pulled the side of the boat with her hands and let them get on the boat. After they got on the boat, Qian finally got on the boat. Qian's hands. As soon as the gang was released, the boat started to rock from side to side. Wenwen screamed in fright and twisted her body around. The more she twisted her body, the more the boat rocked. Wenwen's face was ashen and she was already shouting for help. "Die, don't move, squat down," Qian scolded, and Wenwen hurriedly squatted down. Before she could squat down, the boat shook a little, and she yelled "Ah" and sat down in the cabin. Qian scolded, "Okay, damn, just sit there." There was no oar on the boat, so Qian took a board from the cabin and paddled it twice in the water, and the boat immediately stabilized. Thank you to Qing Empire 1, Dal Tin Soldier, and On the Shore 131 for the rewards. Thank you for your monthly votes from Watch, Tiger, Tianying 1978, and Byway. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 854. After the boat stabilized, Qian asked Lu Lepole which way to go. Lu Lepole pointed in the direction of the Jiangnan Canal and told Qian to go this way first, then make a U-turn at the end, and then go up to finish the entire river. Qian said yes and moved the deck with her hands. The boat turned around on top of Greenping and sailed briskly towards the Jiangnan Canal. Waves of stench surged up from under Greenping. Wenwen didn't even dare to open her eyes and cursed, "It feels like falling in shit. Why the hell did you bring us here to see the scenery?" Lu Ligan laughed and shouted, "Did you see that so many people on the shore are looking at you? You are so ugly." Wenwen opened her eyes and looked to both sides. Except for the tangled grass and tattered stones, there was no fart. Then she realized that Lu Ligan was teasing her. She stood up and was about to hit him. Unexpectedly, the boat followed him violently. In a flash, Wenwen staggered, and Qian screamed, seeing Wenwen about to fall overboard. Lu Ligan had quick eyes and quick hands. He stretched out his hand to catch Wenwen, and Wenwen changed the direction of the fall. Together with Lu Ligan, the two of them fell heavily into the cabin, and Lu Ligan's head hit the side of the boat with a bang. Qian scolded, "Damn it, can't you be more honest?" Wenwen lay on her back on Lu Ligan's body and said with a smile, "It's okay now, I can be more honest now." Lu Ligan felt uncomfortable under the pressure and cursed, "Get out of here, I know how to eat every day. It's as heavy as a pig. I can't breathe under the pressure." Wenwen sat up and pressed her body down deliberately, causing Lu Ligan to grimace in pain. Even Qian couldn't stand it anymore and cursed, "Damn it, have you made enough trouble?" Wenwen shook her head, pursed her lips, and then moved away. Lu Ligan sat up. He was too lazy to pay attention to Wenwen anymore. Instead, he looked to both sides. Behind the dilapidated stone fence, it was very open. There were large vegetable fields on both sides of the river, extending to the Huanchen North Road in front. When the Gentian River reaches Huanchen North Road, the river has stopped. People who don't know think that the river has reached the end. Those who know will understand that there are two culverts below, connecting the Jiangnan Canal outside. The Gentian River, the reason why it will not dry up even in midsummer is because these two culverts are working. Close to Huanchen North Road, there is an iron fence. The sharp corners of this iron fence are 40 to 50 centimeters above the water. It was originally used to block the garbage on the river and prevent it from clogging the culvert. However, because the iron fence has long been rusty and rotten, they themselves have become part of the garbage, surrounded by more garbage. The garbage on the river formed two small islands. When the boat approached, Lu Ligan picked up a deckboard and poked at it. The two small islands formed by garbage did not move at all. After years of accumulation, they had solidified. Lu Ligan and Wenwen said, "You can climb up here." Wenwen yelled, You're the only one who crawls on shit. Luligan knew that the two culverts should be under the two islands, because the water here is flowing, so much garbage is gathered here. Okay, turn around, Luligan and Qian said. Qian stretched out the cabin board and clicked on a garbage island. The ship turned around lightly. Luligan praised, not bad, Qian, I didn't expect you to have such a hand. What's the matter? I haven't learned to walk yet, and I'm already on the boat, Qian said with a smile. Wenwen seemed to be used to the rocking of the ship at this time. She climbed over to Qian, turned around and sat side by side on the rails that separated the middle and rear cabins of the ship, and said to Qian, I know how to do this. Damn it, let me do it. Qian smiled and gave her the cabin board in her hand. Wenwen rowed twice. The boat did not continue to move forward, but stopped. Wenwen became anxious and started rowing again. This time, the boat did not move forward. Instead of moving forward, he turned sideways. After a few more strokes, the boat started spinning in place. Hey, why don't you humming move forward? Don't turn, you humming told you not to turn, you are deaf and didn't hear? Hey, why are you still turning? Wenwen kept scolding the boat. Qian and Luligan laughed. Luligan said, you can use a honey trap, kiss it, and it will listen to you. Get lost. Wenwen rolled her eyes at Luligan and cursed, I'll kiss it once, and then I'll kiss you again, do you want it? At this time, there were many people standing on the north road around the city. Seeing them laughing, Wenwen's face turned red and she quickly pushed the cabin board to Qian and shouted. Die, I'll give you back your things. Qian took the cabin board and paddled twice in the water. The boat stopped turning. Wenwen was very curious and stared at Kinkin's hands and shouted. Damn it, how did you do that? Why does it spin when I paddle it twice, but stops when you paddle it? It's your mistress, so it's so obedient. Qian smiled and said, I can't explain it. I'm just used to it and know when to do it. It's like when something comes to your mouth will open automatically. TCH, when shit comes, you open it automatically, Wenwen said disdainfully. When shit comes, it automatically stops opening, Qian said, just like now, I automatically know that I can't stroke anymore and have to stop. The boat seemed to be stable. Qian rowed a few more times, and the boat moved forward briskly close to Luping. Wenwen raised her hand, waved to the people standing on the north road around the city, and shouted, bye, got it? Someone blew a whistle, and it broke after a while. Wenwen snorted, you think I can't do it? She put two slender fingers between her lips and blew a loud and long whistle. Many people on the shore applauded, and someone shouted, beauty, do it again. Wenwen came again. The boat moved forward and saw the bridge on Fenki Road ahead. Wenwen sat there and sang a song. Qian smiled and said, are you starting to show off? Wenwen shook her head proudly and said, you care about me. The singing continues. Wenwen's singing quickly attracted many passers-by to stand on the bridge and watch. It was very strange to have a boat in this smelly river. There were also a man and two women on the boat. These two women were very beautiful, which was even more strange. One of the beauties was still singing, and she sang very nicely, which was very strange, and some people couldn't help but applaud. Wenwen waved to them, and someone asked, are you making a movie? Wenwen smiled and said, yes, we are filming a movie, be careful, you will be filmed too. Many people were looking around, looking for where the camera was. Some people were adjusting their hair and clothes, thinking that if they were filmed, it would be too messy and would not look good. The bridge was very short, and they had to lower their heads to pass. When they reached the middle of the bridge, Luligan, who was squatting half crouched in the middle cabin in front, had his head covered and was caught in a spider web. He quickly reached out to lift it, but a spider fell in. It fell into his mouth and he quickly spit out ba, ba. Ween Wen and Qian were also caught by the dancing spider threads and screamed randomly. People on the bridge were very curious when they heard the screams under the bridge. A large group of people hurriedly swarmed from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. Looking down, they saw that the boat was coming out of the bridge hole, but it seemed to be the same as the boat. There is no difference in the front, 2 women and 1 man or 2 women and 1 man. Some people can't help but ask. Beauty, you are under the bridge, what's wrong? I met a gangster, Ween Wen said angrily. The people above were surprised and asked each other, is it possible to walk under this bridge? Are there any gangsters down here? A smart person exclaimed, aren't we making movies? In this movie, gangsters can of course appear wherever they want. The 3 people on the boat laughed when they heard it. Ween Wen raised her right hand and raised her thumb, giving the smart man a big thumbs up. After the Gentian River passed Fenki Road, the river became a little more open. The scene on both sides of the river was still the same, except that there were no vegetable fields, but patches of overgrown wasteland. In the middle of the wasteland, from time to time, there would be a sudden appearance. The wall stretches from the inside to the river. Lu Ligan understood that the land on both sides of the wall belonged to different units, but everyone unanimously decided that the land next to the Gentian River should be left uncultivated, otherwise it would be useless to build anything here. Ween Wen hummed a song again. Unlike before, this time she was not showing off, but truly happy. After spending time on the river for a long time, she no longer felt the smell, although the smell was still real. The deserted banks are deserted, but being in the city center gives people the feeling of being in the wilderness, which is really refreshing. For a moment, Lu Ligan was confused, thinking that they were really taking a boat trip. He thought of Sushaimo's farewell to Cambridge, green licorice on the soft mud. What kind of soft mud, isn't it the same as here? Same, is it also silt? You are swaggering under the water, damn you, how dirty it is, worse than water hyacinth and green duckweed. There is no one other than Sushaimo who can make a good talk in the world by playing tricks in a smelly ditch. Lu Ligan thought about whether he should write a few lines of poetry, but he couldn't think of it. When they passed Qingchun Road and walked towards Jifang Road, in addition to the stench, there was also a very complex and pungent smell floating in the river. From time to time, gauze and masks were exposed on the river surface among the green leaves. And cartons for injections. Lu Ligan looked to the right, which was Zhejiang No. 2, and to the left. There was a tall chimney not far from the river, with thick smoke billowing. It should be some kind of machinery factory or foundry. It seemed that the hospital was not only filled with medical waste. Here, the wastewater from the entire hospital also comes here, and the factory opposite certainly does its part. The river is everyone's river. Why can you pollute it, but I can't pollute it? Everyone keeps away from it anyway, so who is afraid of whom? After Zhejiang 2, there is Zhejiang 1, and then there is Hangcheng Third People's Hospital, which is the dermatology hospital. On the left side of the river is the coal yard of the railway station. Many of the trains at that time were steam locomotives, and they still needed to add steam locomotives. Coal, the coal needed for the trains passing through Chengjian railway station, is piled in this coal yard, like a black mountain standing by the river. Standing in the middle of the boat, Lu Ligan felt the soles of his feet were cold. When he lowered his head, he was surprised to see that water quickly leaked in from the bottom of the boat and soon covered his insteps. It's leaking, Lu Ligan shouted. Ween Wen and Qian also discovered it. Ween Wen screamed, and Qian looked to both sides to see where they could dock. It's just a water leak, and the ship won't sink completely, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Lu Ligang pointed to a collapsed section of stone on the right bank and said to Qian, go there. Qian looked and saw that there was no better place to dock, so she docked the boat there. The water quickly filled 1/3 of the cabin, and the boat reached the shore. Qian shouted to Wenwen, "Get ashore quickly." Wenwen stood up and saw that the boat was still 1 foot wide from the shore. Her legs were trembling and she kept shouting, "Don't dare, don't dare. If you get closer, I'll force you to move further to the side." Qian cursed in her heart, "There are rocks down there, how the hell can I rely on it?" She saw that the collapsed gap was filled with mud and rotten grass, so she stretched out her foot and kicked Wenwen on the buttocks. Wenwen yelled ah, and she fell to the shore like a baby. A frog, lying on the mud and rotting grass. Qian and Lu Ligan also jumped ashore quickly. At this time, a ring of the hull of the small wooden boat was still exposed above the water and the green leaves. Thank you to Wanyan Baidiao Party, Xiaomu 0181, Book Friends 201801012142309117, third from top to bottom, and reading books every day for your rewards. Thank you Li Rujin for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you a nice weekend. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 855. Lu Ligan took a shower in the room upstairs and returned to the office. His nose twitched from time to time. He always felt that he still smelled bad. He didn't know whether it was stuck to his hair or stuck in his nasal cavity. In short, he felt that the mountains and rivers of Zhen were lingering. Lu Ligan pressed the phone a few times and said, "Come up here." Fan Jiangguo ran up, and Lu Ligan took out his Hutuban key and said to Fan Jiangguo, "Please take my car to be washed and ask them to wash the inside for a while to remove the smell." "Why, did you run a red light in the car?" Fan Jiangguo asked. Lu Ligan was stunned for a moment, then understood what Fan Jiangguo meant by running a red light, and cursed, "You are the humming red lantern, I won't do it." Fan Jiangguo laughed and said, "There is no way. If you want to avoid getting into trouble, you have to run through the red light." "Go away, you gangster," Lu Ligan cursed, and Fan Jiangguo walked away with a chuckle. After a while, Wenwen and Kinkin's hair came down wet. As Wenwen walked, she put 2 fingers into her mouth from time to time and shook her front teeth. Qian scolded, "It's okay. Your teeth are not made of tofu. Your face is not broken. How can something happen to your teeth?" Wenwen scolded back, "You die hard, I haven't settled the score with you yet, you kicked me into a pile of shit." Qian said, "Good intentions are not rewarded, so do you like to fall into the river? Let's go back, you kick me into the shit you said, I will kick you into the smelly river, you do it don't want to do it." Wenwen rolled her eyes at her, then looked down at herself and muttered, "That humming slap made my breasts shrink." Lu Ligan and Qian laughed. Still laughing, "It's you who took us to that damn place." Wenwen's firepower came towards Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan looked at the map and said with a smile, "What the hell is that place?" "It's a good place, our geomantic treasure. In the future, I guarantee that if you fall into that river, you won't be able to get out." Wenwen and Qian both looked at him and asked curiously, "What do you want to do?" Lu Ligan looked at his watch and said, "I want to find someone to eat with." He picked up the phone on the table, called Zhang Chen, and told him that they would have dinner together in the evening. Zhang Chen said yes. "I'll call Lao Tan and Han Emperor Lu Bang again and ask them to come together." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "No need, they are here with me, and we are also talking about where to eat." "Tianxiang Tower, earn rent for me," Lu Ligan shouted. "What's so delicious about that broken vegetable?" "Look, you are being selfish, Mr. Zhang. You have forgotten that neither Lao Tan nor Lu Bang, the great ancestor of Han Dynasty, eat spicy food. Do you want to take them to spicy fish?" "Okay, Tianxiang Tower is Tianxiang Tower, you book it." "Of course I ordered it." After putting down the phone, Lu Ligan told Qian that they wanted to book a private room in Tianxiang Tower. They had the largest one that could seat 18 people. So many people at night, Qian asked. Lu Ligan said yes, I want to have a big banquet for the guests. By the way, Wen, you call Lao Wan and Ying, and we will have dinner together in the evening. Lu Ligan stood up and took off the map of Hangzhou on the wall. Fan Jiangguo came back from washing the car. When he saw Lu Ligan, he shouted, "What's the smell in the car? It's so smelly, it's fumed." Lu Ligan looked at Wen and Qian and said, "Of course it's the two of them who are slutty." The two people glared at him. Fan Jiangguo laughed loudly, even louder than the mutton kebab seller. Wen and Qian stared at him again. Fan Jiangguo gave Lu Ligan the car keys and wanted to leave. Lu Ligan said, "Don't leave. Let's have dinner together tonight." Fan Jiangguo hesitated, "I made a trick earlier, today, and asked me to test my taste, date. I push it, or have supper with her," Lu Ligan said. Fan Jiangguo said, "Then I'd better give it in. I want to treat you to a late night snack." Wen and Qian scolded together, "Stingy." Fan Jiangguo laughed loudly, "You are the boss who guarantees your household income. I can't even touch you if you are so generous." In the evening, a lot of people came to the private room of Tianxiang Tower. Xiao Zhao, He Hongmei and Erkuo came. Lu Ligan also called Chu Tianlin and Xiaoan. 14 people were seated in the large private room with 18 people per table. Lu Ligan posted the map on the wall. People who came in looked at this posture, and then looked at so many people, they knew that it was not as simple as eating. When everyone arrived, Lu Ligan told them that he had called you all here to help me come up with ideas. Except for the few in my company, the rest of you would not hold back anything you said. You won't be polite. I just want to listen to your rude words today, because this is too important to me. Tell me the key points, Zhang Chen said. The point is, like our real estate business, it's very difficult to get land in Hangzhou now. In the words of Sister Tianlin and you Hangzhou people, there's too much trouble, and they may not have the resources. I have the ability to get projects and work hard, just because I want to get a piece of the pie, Lu Ligan said. It's easy to understand, Chu Tianlin said, now everyone knows that there is money to be made in real estate. Yes, there is money to be made, and the threshold is low. Real estate sounds like a very high-end word, but in fact the threshold is very low, even lower than your clothing business, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen said. As long as there is a piece of land, even a fool can do real estate, but it's just building a house. What's so difficult about it? If you don't know a word of people in the mountains and valleys, they can still build a house if they have a piece of land. It's not that contemptuous. You are belittling yourself, Lao Tan said. Of course anyone can build a doghouse or a henhouse, but if you ask him to try building a high-rise building, he won't do any preliminary drilling or piles. There was no structural design for the foundation or the house, and it collapsed before it even reached the third floor. Yes, to be simple, our costumes are even simpler. The primitive man has a leaf in the front, a leaf in the back, and a tie around the waist, which is the costume, Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan waved his hand. Okay, what you said is right, but now, there are too many people who can only build dog houses and chicken sheds, but also want to do real estate, so this industry is very chaotic and very tiring. I was just thinking, it turns out that road doesn't work, so I'm going to take a new road. While you are all staring at each land plot, I don't want to play anymore. I go to develop the film. This is their things that I don't have the strength or ability to do. The idea of developing a large area is right. In Taiwan, every city in the past few years has been developing pedestrian commercial streets. I think it will become a popular project in mainland China in a few years, Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Lu Ligan's eyes lit up and he said, yes, brother Lu, your suggestion is very good. I will do it if I have the opportunity. However, it is too difficult in Hangzhou at present. The residents in the old city are too dense. The cost of demolition and resettlement is too high. I thought of another project. What project? Zhang Chen asked. Lu Ligan pointed to the light blue river on the map and said, I want to transform the Gentian River. What? You want to transform the Gentian River? Chu Tianlin was surprised and shouted. Yes, Sister Tianlin. Lu Ligan nodded. Do you know that is the famous smelly river in Hangzhou? Chu Tianlin asked. Lu Ligan said, I know. I'll go there in the afternoon and walk the entire river. It's not over yet, Qian said. Lu Ligan changed his mind and said, okay, there was an accident, and there is still the last section to walk, but I have a personal experience of that river. It is indeed very smelly, but it is because of the smell that it has the value of transformation. If it doesn't stink, why reform him? Then do you know that several leaders of Hangzhou wanted to transform the Gentian River, but in the end, the river remained unchanged and their people were no longer in Hangzhou, Chu Tianlin said. I know, Lu Ligan said, there is actually only one reason why the government can't move, and that is that it can't afford so much money, and is afraid that it will be a half-baked project. Instead of doing that, it would be better to remain silent and just let him continue like this, pretend not to see it, and continue like this. No leader will be responsible, because it is a debt owed by history, and if it is done half-heartedly, he will be responsible. This is the government's responsibility. What do you want to do? You have too much money, and do good things for the people of Hangzhou, Zhang Chen asked. Of course I am not that noble. I just want to make a big deal, and then the three parties will benefit. The government will have political achievements, I will benefit, and the people of Hangzhou will also benefit, Lu Ligan said. Is there such a good thing? Lao Tan asked. If it's done well, there will be, Lu Ligan said. Tell me what you think, Zhang Chen said. Okay, here's my idea. The government won't spend a penny and I will fund the improvement of the Gentian River. Are you crazy? Do you know how much it costs to renovate a river? Zhang Chen asked. Lu Ligan said, I roughly calculated, it is almost more than 200 million. You will pay for more than 200 million yuan. After the renovation, you will make money by raising fish and selling shrimps, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Isn't this a fantasy of yours? With an investment of more than 200 million yuan, you how to take it back? This is the key to this matter. If I hadn't gone to see it in the afternoon, I'm not sure whether it could be done, but after going to see it, I think it can be done, Lu Ligan said. This Gen mountain and river, because of its smell and reputation, has formed a strange phenomenon, and this phenomenon is the prerequisite for me to operate. What phenomenon? Chu Tianlin asked. She felt strange. She was a native of Hangzhou and had lived not far from Gentian River since she was a child. She should know Gentian River very well. Apart from being smelly, what else is special about Gentian River? Is it something you don't understand? On both sides of the river, within 50 meters, there are almost no residential buildings and it is basically wasteland, Lu Ligan said. Of course, who would live nearby? Chu Tianlin said. Okay, this can be done, Zhang Chen slapped the table and shouted. He seemed to already know what Lu Ligan wanted to do. You said yes, do you know what I want to do? Lu Ligan asked. When you talk to the government, you only have one request, that is, you pay for the river improvement, but the government has to sell you the land on both sides of the river, right? Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan nodded. What I want to do is to make a time difference. Everyone on both sides of the river is now treated as garbage. As long as the Gentian River is not renovated, no one will build a house nearby, and the land will definitely not be expensive. I bought them all and then invested heavily in improving the Gentian River and turning it into the most beautiful river in Hangzhou. Haha, the land and house in your hands will have appreciated in value by then, right? Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, what a great idea. Yes, if you want people to be willing to live in that place, you must improve the Gentian River. If you don't improve it, no one will live there. And improving the Gentian River will cost a lot. I can afford this price, and the rest those people, they can't afford this price, this is not something they can play. Lu Ligan looked at Chu Tianlin and continued. Of course, I'm not that greedy, and I won't say that both sides of the long river will be turned into real estate. My renovation will include renovations on both sides of the river. After the renovation, most of them will be urban parks and become people's favorite places. Going to a place to exercise early and take a walk, real estate, is just a small percentage of that, and that's what I call a win-win-win. Lu Ligan said, and Chu Tianlin nodded. She felt that from her perspective as a citizen of Hangzhou, she would certainly welcome such rectification. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 856. Lao Tan stood up, walked to the map, and looked at it carefully with his hands behind his back. Lu Bang, the founder of Han Dynasty, seemed to be used to looking at maps with Lao Tan. He also stood up, walked over, and stood side by side with Lao Tan, and looked at it carefully. Holding the map. The others couldn't help but laugh, but they didn't want to laugh out loud or speak loudly, so as not to disturb them while looking at the map and thinking, so everyone took the opportunity to eat the food in silence. After a while, Lu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, returned to his seat, and Lao Tan continued to look at the map. Lao Tan turned around in front of the map and told Lu Ligan that in order to make the river clean, the amount of work required was huge. The first step was to intercept the sewage, which meant burying sewage pipes on both sides of the river to divert the current flow into the river. All the sewage is intercepted into the sewage pipes. The second is dredging, cleaning up the silt at the bottom of the river. The third is renovating the river banks, building hammocks, and greening both sides. Yes, you, a communist soldier, know a lot. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han Dynasty, said. Old Tan smiled and said to him, when I was in the army and the people jointly built it. I participated in the regulation of the Sanya River and I know a little bit about it. Lao Tan looked at Lu Ligan and continued. This alone is not enough. The most important thing is to turn it into living water. Only when it becomes living water can the water body be completely changed. To turn this place into living water, there are only two sources. One is here, which connects it to the Jiangnan Canal. The local area is widened, but the water quality of the canal itself is not good, so it cannot solve the fundamental problem. The only way to solve the fundamental problem is to introduce water from the Jiantang River. The river ends at the Broken River and at Hefang Street. It is far away from the Jiantang River and separated by Phoenix Mountain. Fan Jiangguo, a local, said. It is far away from the Jiantang River, but close to the Zhonghe River. Are the Zhonghe River and the Jiantang River connected together? Lao Tan asked. The Zhonghe River and the Jiantang River are connected, but the connection between the Zhonghe River and the Jiantang River seems to have to pass through the pumping station, because when the water level of the Jiantang River is low every year, seawater will flow back and there will be salty tides. There still needs to be a sluice in the middle to block it. The Zhonghe River has been renovated a few years ago, and the water quality is indeed much better than before, and the Gentian River is actually connected to the Zhonghe River downstream. Chu Tianlin obviously knew more about Gentian River than anyone else. She also stood up, walked to the map, pointed at the map, and said to them. It's right here, a little past Qingtai Street. It's not marked on the map, but here, there is actually a ditch that connects Gentian River and Zhonghe River. But because Gentian River is high and Zhonghe is low, only Gentian River is low-lying. The water from the mountain river will flow into the Zhonghe River, but the water from the Zhonghe River will not flow into the Gentian River. So, this place is supposed to be living water, so why is it like this? Lao Tan was puzzled. Chu Tianlin said, when the Zhonghe River was being renovated, I was in high school, and our school organized voluntary labor for us. I knew that 2 dams were built here, where the Gentian River comes out. Lao Tan nodded, that's the sewage interception dam. I'm worried that the Gentian River will pollute the entire Zhonghe River, but even these 2 dams have turned the Gentian River into a stagnant pool. It should be like this, Chu Tianlin said. Lao Tan said, big plans cannot escape these few things. There are still ways to improve the river and make the entire river clear. Of course, experts will come up with specific ones in due course. What I mean by this is that no matter how to do it, this must be a big project. The 200 million you mentioned, Mr. Liu, is probably only enough for the river regulation itself and the greening on both sides. If you want to acquire such a large area of land on both sides of the Taiwan Strait, no matter how cheap it is, it will probably cost you hundreds of millions. Does our company really have such great strength? Will it end up being a half-baked project? The government, if this was done as a half-baked project, the result would be terrible. In fact, if our company wants to do it, it will be just as terrible. The half-finished project will affect not only this project for our company, but also all other projects of our company may be stopped due to funding problems. At that time, it will really be a disaster. Ling, the whole company, will be paralyzed. Lao Tan has worked in a company himself, and has suffered from difficulties in allocating funds and poor turnover. Of course he knows the stakes involved. He said paralysis sounds nice, but in fact everyone knows that the result is the same as his company will go bankrupt. As Lao Tan said this, everyone nodded. They all felt that this was like a bottomless pit. If no amount of money you threw into it seemed to be enough, the financial risk was indeed too great. Lu Ligan said, I have thought about this, so I decided that before doing this, I must first negotiate with Nanyang Bank and let them enlarge our loan to 1 billion. 1 billion? Everyone present was shocked. What is the concept of 1 billion? Zhang Chen was shocked when he heard Meng Ping say 400 million. Lu Ligan also thought Meng Ping was crazy, but now he actually proposed 1 billion. 1 billion? Then our company's debt ratio will become several hundred negative, right? Lao Tan said. Moreover, this is different from the 80 million. The 80 million is still on the account, although it bears the burden of capital cost, but this money can be used at any time. When you can't afford the capital cost, you can also pay it back. These 1 billion must be paid in earnest first. After the payment is made, no matter whether we can afford it or not, we must bear the annual capital cost. Moreover, before the renovation of Gentian River is completed, it is impossible to see the value-added effect of the land on both sides of us. The entire Gentian River, the rectification will take at least 2 years. In other words, during these 2 years, we should not expect to see any cash flow back. But in the past 2 years, we have to bear more than 100 million in capital costs each year. After the splendid Jiangnan project is completed, will our company still have so much cash flow? Peach Blossom Spring still needs to continue to invest, and the payback period has not yet reached the plan. The only possibility of cash flow is the next splendid Qiantang project, but we still have no idea what the sales of splendid Qiantang will be like, have no idea. If a splendid Qiantang can bring us a net income of more than 1 billion per year to cover the capital cost of 1 billion, does it have the ability? This is a big question mark. The subsequent income from our Jingxiu Jiangnan and Jingxiu Xiangting will be able to maintain the normal operation of the company, and the investment in the Peach Blossom Spring project will be good. In the comprehensive office building, the rent of this Tianxiang building will bear the 8. There is a slight surplus in the capital cost of tens of millions, but it is only a slight surplus. The rent is dead, and it is impossible to increase it even if you want it to increase. All the possible benefits we can generate are in these few places, and we can calculate how much they can be. The only variable is that the 100 million plus can only be counted on the splendid Qiantang. The splendid Qiantang was designed to be more than 190,000 square meters. It could have been made 220,000 square meters, but Jason told me that day, because Mr. Liu requires that every household can see the Qiantang River, the buildings can only be staggered, and the gaps between the buildings must be wide enough. Goal is really a perfectionist. Old Tan, you are a communist soldier who is also cunning and silent. You know everything in your mind. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, sighed and said that everyone present was deeply touched after hearing this. They felt that Lao Tan really thought carefully and saw far. Lao Tan sighed, I was bitten by a snake once. Since I hold the position of vice president in the company, I can't do it. What can I say? By the way, the corpse is a vegetarian, and you have to make political decisions in your position. Fan Jiangguo blushed and said, I seem to be that corpse. I can't be like Mr. Tan. Everyone laughed, and Lao Tan said with a smile, you haven't played your role yet. You are different from me. After those buildings are built, you will come in handy. I definitely can't do office property. If I really want you to do this, what do you say in your Hangzhou dialect? It's just a gimmick, Xiaoan shouted. Yes, it really needs to be a little bit gimmicky, so that this office building will have its own style, and it can't be managed like a neighborhood committee ant. If I were to manage the office building, I would probably manage it like a neighborhood committee. Level Lao Tan said. You know a lot, and you're right. We just like to work in a gimmicky office building, Chu Tianlin said with a smile. Let's see if that's right, Lao Tan and Fan Jiangguo said, this is something you can do, but I can't. But Xiao Fan, the thing I hate hearing the most about this Hangcheng dialect is that even this young woman said you all belong to me, why should you treat me like me? Xiao Fan, please don't always treat me like me when you are in front of me from now on, okay? Everyone laughed, and Wen Wen said, Uncle Tan, if you give him a good beating, he will remember it and won't dare to think of you as my father. Everyone laughed again. Fan Jiangguo scratched his head and laughed sheepishly. Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, shouted. Communist army, you only said half of what you said before, please continue quickly. Lao Tan looked at Liu Ligan and asked, Mr. Liu, does it matter if I exposed all my family wealth like this? Liu Ligan smiled and said, it doesn't matter. We are all our own people here. If we ask everyone to come, we just listen to the truth. Lao Tan nodded and said yes. I will continue the previous topic. The splendid Qiantang is 190,000 square meters. If it has to bear the capital cost of more than 200 million for at least 2 years, it will make a net profit of at least 1,110 square meters per square meter. This will also need to be done after all of them are sold out. In this case, its initial factory relocation cost has been much higher than we expected. If so, how much will it be sold for? Same as splendid Jiangnan, the opening price must be 2,800 Ying said. Can a house worth RMB 2,800 be sold within 2 years if it has not been completed yet? Lao Tan asked. A house of 2,800 square meters shocked even Chu Tianlin. The company has money and there is no problem buying an office building. How many people in Hangzhou can afford this person to buy a house of 2,801 square meters? Everyone suddenly felt that the situation was quite serious. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward that I don't even know, anyone asked. Thank you to Tianying 1978 and Wonderful on the Road for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 857. After Lao Tan finished speaking, everyone looked at Liu Ligan. Liu Ligan said, I have also thought about what Lao Tan said. Indeed, such risks exist, but for me, I feel that it is time to fight against the odds. At that time, we devoted all our abilities and material resources to this project, even if we stopped the Peach Blossom Spring project in the middle. You are gambling, Lao Tan said. Lu Ligan nodded. I am indeed betting on this project. The bet is everything our company has today. The bet is the future of the company. If the bet wins, there will be an open land in front of us. I am not bragging, at least within the scope of Hangzhou. There are no real estate companies that can compete with us domestically, and there are no real estate companies nationwide that can defeat us. What if we lose? Lao Tan asked. Simple, have nothing, start all over again. Lu Ligan smiled, but everyone felt that the smile was a bit sad. Do you have to bet such a big sum? Zhang Chen asked. Yes, there is no way out, Lu Ligan said. I have figured it out. This real estate is no better than your clothing. It is really an industry where only the strong can survive. Mr. Han said that bidding, auction, and listing will definitely be a trend in the future. When that day comes, small real estate companies, probably in key cities, will have no room to survive, and you won't even be able to get a piece of land. Moreover, not only local companies, but also those from other places will enter in a big way. At that time, it will be a real hand-to-hand battle. I am lucky to start earlier than others and make some money. If I don't take advantage of this time to strengthen myself, it is very likely that I will be eliminated soon. I have to make this bet, otherwise, I may have a future, but the company will definitely be gone. Is it really that serious? Xiao Zhao asked. Being a business is not about retreating if you don't advance, but there is no retreat. You can either advance with great success or fail and sink into the sand. There is no second way. No matter how big an enterprise is, it will be miserable when it closes, Lu Lirod said. Come on, drink, this topic is too heavy, haven't you started doing it yet? Everything is still on paper. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, raised his cup and everyone clinked it. Zhang Chen knew very well that as long as Lu Ligan made up his mind to do something, he would definitely do it. It was not that it had not started, but that it has already started, probably since he came back from Gentian River in the afternoon. He called everyone here in the evening for the opening banquet. Zhang Chen felt that what Brother Tan said was reasonable, and what Lu Ligan said was also reasonable. Don't think so much. The worst thing is that we can help support each other when the time comes. If we have to start over, we can all start over together. Gangzi, let me ask, how many square meters of house can be built on the land after the river is renovated? Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, asked. The rest of both sides of the river are used as parks, and about 35% are used for real estate development, which is about 1.4 million to 1.5 million square meters, Lu Ligan said. That's really a big project, Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Lu Chengcheng has been improving every year in the past few years. After this year's National People's Congress, Lu Chengcheng is no longer the director of the Hangzhou City Government Office, but the deputy mayor of Hangzhou City, the deputy mayor in charge of urban construction. Lu Ligan went to Vice Mayor Lu and reported to him his ideas on the transformation of Gentian River. Lu Chencheng's eyes lit up. You must know that Gentian River is a scar on Hangzhou City. Can it be said that the city of Hangzhou has the key to change depends on 2 points. One is whether the West Lake can truly be returned to the people, and the other is whether the Gentian River has been successfully transformed. In the 1980s, the then Hangzhou Municipal Party Committee and government made great determination to clean up and renovate the West Lake. The cleanup and improvement of the West Lake not only alarmed the whole of Zhejiang, but also the whole country. The main person in charge at the time gave long instructions for this, affirming the West Lake improvement work of the Hangzhou Municipal Party Committee and municipal government, and also praised the work of the Hangzhou Municipal Party Committee and municipal government. The person in charge of the relevant unit responsible for the illegal construction on the edge of the West Lake was severely criticized. You must know that the entire West Lake was surrounded by office buildings, nursing homes, and dormitories of various units from top to bottom. Many of these units had higher administrative levels and bigger backgrounds than the Hangzhou city government. They needed to be cleaned up. One can imagine how difficult it is for them. Some people say that it is because of Tai Sui's head. The main leaders of the Hangzhou City Party Committee and city government at that time could really be said to be doing this thing with their own black hats, and finally got it done. After renovation, Hangzhou West Lake Park along the lake to Jinghu Hall, the lakeside line of Xiling Bridge has finally been fully connected, with green grass and scattered flowers and trees. People can freely come and go, stop by the lake and enjoy the beautiful scenery of the West Lake. After the West Lake was renovated, the Gentian River became a concern of the Hangzhou city government. During the annual 2 sessions, many committee members proposed to renovate the Gentian River. The Hangzhou city government also considered the idea of remediation several times, but in the end didn't push it forward. Financial difficulties are the main reason, Lu Changcheng and Lu Ligan said, but it is not the only reason. Another reason is that, just like the West Lake, the improvement of the West Lake back then was very painful. People who experienced it still think about it. We all still have lingering fears. The resistance is too great and we may be forced to stop at any time. Fortunately, the old leaders are determined enough and the central government's support is strong enough. Lu Ligan said, "Leader, I don't know very well. In addition to financial reasons, there are other reasons for the improvement of Gentian and rivers. Zihu can imagine who is willing to move away from Zihu. If he is asked to move, he will definitely not be willing. But there are no houses on either side of the Gentian River." Lu Changcheng smiled. Of course, it is impossible for the difficulty to be as big as that of West Lake, but it involves many units. Although there are wastelands on both sides, these wastelands also have owners, and those vegetable plots are it's easy to handle, our city government can decide. But for the rest, let me tell you briefly. The coal yard belongs to the Shanghai Railway Bureau, the factory next to it belongs to the Metallurgical Department, and the one over there belongs to the Joint Logistics Department of the Nanjing Military Region. Opposite here, Zhejiang 2nd, it belongs to Zhejiang Medical University. In the past, it was owned by the Provincial 2nd Lighting Group, involving more than a dozen units, large and small, and these units are not under the control of our city government. Lu Changcheng said this, feeling unwilling to do so. Of course he hoped that the Zhen mountains and rivers could be rectified during his term. He looked at Lu Ligan and felt that this young man was really capable of doing this. This can be seen from the fact that he built a comprehensive office building, which really helped them solve the problem of insufficient office buildings. Lu Changcheng looked at Lu Ligan and smiled and said, "Mr. Lu, why do I hear this? This is a bit like running a city." Lu Ligan nodded. He said yes. Leadership is to use the city's resources to solve problems in urban development. At present, if it is done directly by the government, there will be many policy restrictions and it will be very difficult. It is up to us. The ultimate goal is the same, which is to benefit all 3 parties, government, enterprises, and citizens. The profits our company makes are actually benefits to the government. After all, we are also a company rooted in the local area and we also generate tax revenue for the local area. That's good. Lu Changcheng nodded. In this way, can you formulate your ideas into a report? I will submit it to the Municipal Party Committee and government for study. If it is passed, I will seek support from the province. Lu Ligan said yes, thank you leader. I should be the one thanking you. Lu Changcheng patted Lu Ligan on the shoulder and said, if the transformation of this Zhen mountain and river can really be successful, I would like to thank you on behalf of the people of Hangzhou. Lu Ligan came out of Lu Changcheng's office and called Mr. Han to tell him about the matter. Mr. Han was very supportive of Lu Ligan's idea. He said, "Come to Hiken with the information. I will help you write this plan. In the past 2 years, I have dealt with local governments a lot, and I know what they want most." Lu Ligan said, "Okay, thank you, Mr. Han, I'm ready here and will be here soon." Lu Ligan was about to return to Hiken, but Zhang Chen objected as soon as he heard it. He said it was too dangerous. "You didn't leave Hiken normally. What if you go back and are met by Ajeng and the others? What can they do? They came to me originally because they wanted the Jinghai Center. The Jinghai Center was sealed by Sun Ho and his superiors. They know that it is useless to look for me. How could they come looking for me again? Besides, I don't have any personal grudges with Ajeng, so don't worry, if this guy meets me now, he will definitely be polite and maybe even invite me to dinner." Lu Ligan said that Zhang Chen still felt uneasy. "I'll go with you, what else can they do to you?" the second-rate guy yelled. Zhang Chen scolded, "What's the use of accompanying you? You're not as good as Xiao Wu. Either I call Xiao Wu and ask for leave and ask him to accompany you." "Are you sick?" Lu Ligan scolded, "this Xiao Wu is going to go and cause trouble even if nothing happens. If Xiao Wu arrives in Hiken and Ajeng doesn't come to us, he will also go to Ajeng. Don't you know what will happen if he finds Ajeng? Don't even mention my going to Hiken to Xiao." Zhang Chen thought about it, and it was really like this. When Xiao Wu arrived in Hiken, because of what happened to Lu Ligan last time, he would definitely go to Ajeng and ask clearly. What would be the second answer to this question? It must be solved by force. Xiao Wu alone is no better than when he was in Wanghai Tower, with Cao Kuoking and his gang below, and Hai Bassian above. Ajeng would still be afraid. Looking at Xiao Wu alone, Ajeng has to rely on his own strength to win or lose with Xiao Wu. Even if Xiao Wu can beat Ajeng, what's the use? He has so many people under his command, and he won't give in. "Do you have to go to Hiken?" Lao Tan asked. Lu Ligan nodded and said, "You must go. Mr. Han is right. If you want to win this project, the plan must be written into the hearts of the local government. If you want to think what they want, Mr. Han is the leader of Hangzhou City. The consultants hired by the government know their thoughts much better than I do. He doesn't easily agree to help others write this kind of thing. This time, he took the initiative. I can't lose this opportunity." "Can't you invite Mr. Han to come to Hangzhou to write?" Zhang Chen asked. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "Then Lu Ligan, this music score is too big. I ask someone to write it for you, and you still want to say that you sent it to your door to write it? What should I say? I said I was too busy at work, or tell him, why am I afraid to go back to Hiken? Also, Mr. Han may be trying to avoid suspicion." Lao Tan said, "You think, since Mr. Han is a consultant to the Hangzhou city government, I think he will definitely not be an agricultural technology consultant. He is a consultant in real estate or urban construction. When encountering such a major matter, the Hangzhou city government is likely to seek his opinion. Mr. Han, there is no way he can tell them, 'No problem, I helped write this plan.'" "That's right, Lao Tan, why didn't I think that Mr. Han might have had this intention when he asked me to go to Hiken?" Lu Ligan shouted, "If he comes to Hangcheng, there is no way he will not notify Lu Changcheng. Lu Changcheng is so smart, he knew as soon as he heard that Mr. Han came here. Now, it must be for my business, maybe he will think that Mr. Han is my lobbyist to move here." Zhang Chen said, "Okay, what you said makes sense, but I just think it is too dangerous for you to return to Hiken. Let the bastard go with you, and take your 2 treasures with you," Lao Tan said, and the 2 treasures he mentioned were Wenwen and Qian. "I ask Xiao Zheng to pick you up at the airport. In Hiken, you also follow Xiao Zheng's arrangements. As long as Xiao Zheng is here, that Ajeng will definitely not dare to move. Also, when you go out alone, Xiao Zheng is not around. Let the two of them be smart and call Xiao Zheng immediately if anything happens. Zhang Chen nodded, thinking that Brother Tan's arrangement was okay, and understood his intention in letting Lu Ligan take Wen Qian there. In case Zheng and the others detain the two men, Wen and Qian, the two women could just make up any excuse and slip away to call Xiao Zheng. Thank you to the 10,000 Years White Vote Party, reading books every day, and 131 on the shore for your rewards. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. I will start writing the third update immediately. I don't know if I can write it down. If not, please forgive me. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 858. Lu Ligan and the others arrived in Haikan by plane at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Xiao Zheng picked them up at the airport. As soon as Xiao Zheng saw the second-rate guy, he punched him and cursed. So many of us are looking for you. Big brother wants to save face and will definitely not call me. Why don't you? The second-rate guy said, I'm Uncle Tan. It's my Uncle Tan who won't let me be beaten. Xiao Zheng turned to Lu Ligan and said, thank you. My elder brother told me, thank you for going to Jiangxi and saving them. Lu Ligan quickly said, that's right, Lao Tan is also my eldest brother. Xiao Zheng nodded and said okay, let's go. After getting in the car, Xiao Zheng asked Lu Ligan, where are the people who the elder brother said would cause trouble for you, where are they operating? Haixiu Road, that area of Wanghai Tower, Lu Ligan said. Then let's live in Wanghai Tower, okay, Xiao Zheng asked. Lu Ligan smiled and said, okay. When they arrived at Wanghai Tower, they parked the car, and the five of them walked to the entrance of Wanghai International Hotel. Wen and Qian shouted, this hotel is so beautiful. Lu Ligan told them, this was designed by Zhang Chen. Really, Mr. Zhang is so powerful, Wen shouted. They walked in. Maybe Wen and Qian were too eye-catching. Everyone sitting on the sofa in the lobby turned around to look. Lu Ligan was stunned. It was really a narrow road for enemies. He saw Zheng sitting on the sofa. When Zheng saw Lu Ligan, he was stunned for a moment, then stood up, walked over with a smile, and stretched out his hand as he walked. Oh brother Lu, it's been such a long time. Lu Ligan held his hand and said with a smile, yes, long time no see, Zheng. I didn't expect you to still be the king here. Haha, brother Lu, you are laughing at me again. If I, Zheng, are not here, where else can I go? Brother Lu, what are you doing? I came from the mainland on a business trip and just arrived, Lu Ligan said, do you think it's fate? The second acquaintance I met was you. Huo whispered in Xiao Zheng's ear, and Xiao Zheng nodded. Xiao Zheng patted Zheng's arm gently. Zheng looked at him. Xiao Zheng asked, are you Zheng? Zheng nodded and wanted to ask Xiao Zheng who he was, but looking at Xiao Zheng's dress, he knew that he was not easy to mess with. Someone pulled Zheng beside him, and Zheng turned sideways. The man muttered something. Zheng turned around and said to Xiao Zheng. It turns out to be brother Zheng. Nice to meet you. Zheng stretched out his hand, but Xiao Zheng did not shake it, but looked at him and said. Zheng, I don't care what happens between you and Mr. Lu, or who is behind you. Originally, I wanted someone to inform you. Since we happened to meet you, I will tell you face to face that Mr. Lu is my brother. I also invited you here. If anything happens in Haikan, I won't be the only one who comes to see you, do you understand? Zheng was stunned. Xiao Zheng and Lu Ligan nodded and said, you guys talk, I'll go through the formalities. Lu Ligan said yes. Zheng looked at Xiao Zheng's back and said to Lu Ligan in a self-mocking manner. Brother Lu, you are such a funny brother. What problems will there be between us? Do you think it is brother Lu? I couldn't find you last time. I was anxious for many days. I thought to myself, what kind of police station would this be, bro? I tried to find a way to get it, but I couldn't find it. I'm always worried, brother Lou. Mr. Lou. The second guy called from the front desk. Lou Ligon looked over. The second guy raised the key tag in his hand. Lou Ligon and Ah Zheng said, "Shall I come over?" Ah Zheng said quickly, "Okay." After Lou Ligon left, someone came over. Ah Zheng told him to see how many days they lived there, and then see if what Erpai said was true. The man said, "Yes, he is the only one who is very ruthless. Last time something happened in Nanshuang, he was the one who brought people here. He used such a real guy that Erpai and the others were scared to death." Ah Zheng nodded and understood. After sending Lou Ligon into the room, Xiao Zheng told Wenwen and Qian his phone number and asked them to remember it. Xiao Zheng and Lou Ligon said, "I will leave first and will pick you up for dinner later." Lou Ligon said quickly, "No, brother Zheng, we can make arrangements ourselves. We are familiar with Haikan anyway. I have to contact Mr. Han I am looking for first. I don't know how he will arrange it." Erhuo also said to Xiao Zheng, let's go, you are here, I am afraid of you even if I am forced to raise you." Xiao Zheng smiled, waved his hand, and the bastard avoided him, cursing, "Here we go again, right?" Xiao Zheng laughed, and he told Lou Ligon, "Okay, call me if you need anything." Lou Ligon said yes. Xiao Zheng walked out of Lou Ligon's room and hurriedly went downstairs. He wanted to go downstairs to meet Ah Zheng again. Unexpectedly, when he got downstairs, Ah Zheng and the others were nowhere to be seen. Xiao Zheng walked to the door and I looked around and saw no sign of them, so I drove away. Lou Ligon called Mr. Han. Mr. Han had just gotten up from his nap. When he heard that Lou Ligon and the others had arrived, he quickly said, "Come here now." Lou Ligon looked at his watch and told Mr. Han that it was almost time for dinner. "Or have dinner together and chat while eating, you bring Wenwen over, we'd better go to Nanshuang." Mr. Han said, "Okay, let's chat while we eat. I'm just in time to rip you off again." After Mr. Han finished speaking, he left. Lou Ligon remembered that the first time he had dinner with Mr. Han was at Nanshuang. That ghost guy Randall brought Mr. Han here and said that Mr. Han only drank Louis XIII. That meal, after finishing the meal, Lou Ligon's family went to sing. He didn't have enough money in his bag, so he asked Zhang Chen to send money to Miwen Hotel. Lou Ligon smiled and said, "Then I will only drink Louis XIII tonight." Lou Ligon hung up the phone and immediately called Nanshuang's reservation number. He was worried that there would be no private rooms, but he didn't expect that there were actually any. He quickly booked a luxury room on the third floor. After Lou Ligon made the call, Wenwen and Qian, who were standing next to him, urged him to accompany them to buy clothes. "Why didn't you tell us that Hainan is already hotter than Hangzhou in summer, so we still wear such thick clothes?" Wenwen scolded. Lou Ligon laughed, "If I told you, wouldn't you have nothing to buy?" Lou Ligon also wanted to see what was going on Haixia Road outside, so he asked Qian to ask the second person to go down with him. After a while, the second person appeared behind Qian in a t-shirt, shorts and slippers. Lou Ligon he stood up and laughed, and said to Wenwen, "See, this is old Hainan, he will change his equipment immediately." The four of them went downstairs and arrived at Wanghai Mall. When they entered the gate, there was a shop selling travel supplies. They sold large flowered island clothes and flip-flops. Lou Ligon said to Erhuo, "It seems that you are also lagging behind. Now everyone is wearing them, this is it? I'm forced to wear this for tourists," the idiot shouted. "We are just tourists now. Who do you think you are?" Four people. One person bought 2 sets of island clothes and a pair of slippers. Wenwen and Qian also bought straw hats, sunscreen and a bunch of other things. The 4 people left Wanghai Mall. the second-rate goods kept clicking their tongues. Shook his head and sighed. Luligan looked at him and asked, "Why are you sighing?" "This Hixia road, why is it so deserted now?" said the second-rate guy. Luligan took a look, and it turned out that at this time, the shadows of the clumps of trees and the shadows of tall buildings were already filled with ding-dongs. Unexpectedly, now, not only ding-dong is no longer visible, but also the fellows from Taizhou, Zhejiang province whose shine shoes are missing. The entire Hixia road is still deserted. It seems that even Ajeng and the others are having a hard time surviving now. No wonder they are so free. When bored, they sit on the sofa in the lobby of the hotel. In the past, it was impossible to see Ajeng in this kind of place. He was only called by the people below. "Will appear." Luligan and Mr. Han made an appointment at 6:30. At 6 o'clock, Luligan set off with his second wife and Wen Wenqian. As soon as they got on the bus at the door, the driver asked them where they came from in the mainland. Luligan Li Zhan was stunned for a moment, and then thought, "Don't these four people wearing island uniforms look like a tour group?" Luligan thought that when Mr. Han came, he must still be wearing a suit and tie, with his hair combed so hard that flies couldn't stop him. Isn't it too rude for him to do this? He wanted to go back and change clothes, but the second-rate guy cursed, "Forget it, I am forced to raise you, just to have a meal, and not to talk about work seriously. Besides, Mr. Han doesn't know you yet, so there is no point in pretending to be a human being." "That's right," Wenwen said. The driver asked, "Do we still need to turn around?" No, go directly," Qian said to the driver. Luligan was helpless, thinking that Mr. Han was also an old acquaintance, so he would explain it later. When they arrived at the gate of Nanshuang, Luligan was surprised again. The queue of cars on the roadside disappeared. The parking lot in front of the hotel was only half full. Moreover, the grade of the cars was obviously lowered and the brands were messed up. Unlike before, almost all of them were running. Luligan asked the driver, "How is the business in Nanshuang now?" The driver told Luligan, "It's still the best business in Haikan." The four people got out of the car. Luligan saw that Nanshuang still had the same layout, but it looked a little old. He walked to the game cage next to the gate and found that there was a lot less game. The orderer told him that now things like pangolins, those who grow them are not allowed to sell them, and even those we have business licenses are not allowed to sell. Luligan thought that Mr. Han did not eat game. He asked Wenwen and Qian, "What do you want to eat?" Both of them yelled, "It stinks so much, it stinks so much, don't want it." Luligan ordered mountain turtle stewed with poisonous snake for the second guy. He didn't order any other game, but only seafood. The first floor of Nanshuang was quite full, and the song and dance performances on the stage were still going on. Qian walked in and watched for a while, then came out and told them that at first glance they were students from some irregular school, not like me. "Nice dance." Luligan asked the greeter who led them up, and the greeter told them that they were students from some art school in Nanning, Guangxi. Wenwen gave Qian a thumbs up and praised her for guessing correctly. When we arrived at the second floor, the singers were still singing on the second floor stage, but the tables below were only about half full, and in the back box, it was conceivable that there would be even fewer people. They arrived at Hobeo on the third floor and sat down. Luligan felt a little disappointed, as if you wanted to see someone, but when you saw him again, you found that his language was boring and his face was blurry. Haikan was no longer familiar to him. Haikan has really become other people's city now, not Luligan's city. Thinking about it, in those 10 or 20 days, when Mengping and Luligan were in the most difficult time, he was at home and in the company every day. He walked around the company and home like this, not knowing that the city, like them, had undergone earth-shaking changes. The past is not as good as smoke. Smoke can still leave smoky traces. The past days have passed away, and even the memories have become so unreal. The door of the box opened, and Mr. Han and Ween Wen came in from the door. The people in the box laughed. They saw that Mr. Han and Ween Wen were also wearing island uniforms and slippers. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the reading and votes. Good evening to everyone. Darling, it's not until tomorrow after all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi-Niang. Chapter 859. Mr. Han and Ween Wen came in and sat down. Lu Ligan smiled and said, Mr. Han's style has completely changed. Ween Wen said that I forced him to wear a suit on such a hot day and be looked at as an alien every time he went out. Mr. Han said with a smile, the main reason is that I used to give lectures a lot. I was afraid of meeting students when I went out. It was not good to dress like this when I met students. Now that I am in Haikan, I don't give lectures anymore. The students are all in the mainland, so I don't think so. You need to care so much. Hypocrisy, Ween Wen said, isn't it just because it's so comfortable that if I ask you to put your suit back on, you won't be able to wear it, right? Mr. Han chuckled. Lu Ligan introduced Huo and Ween Wen Qian to Mr. Han and Ween Wen. Ween Wen held Ween Wen's hand and said with a smile, what a coincidence, we have the same name. That Ween Wen was about to explain that she actually didn't. It's called Ween Wen, Lu Ligan said, yes, it's such a coincidence. Ween Wen smiled and nodded to Ween Wen and sat down. Come, tell us about your project, Mr. Han and Lu Ligan said. Lu Ligan told Mr. Han in detail his idea of transforming the Gentian River. After listening, Mr. Han asked Lu Ligan, do you know in which year the Gentian River was dug? Lu Ligan shook his head. Mr. Han asked again, do you know what the Gentian River was called in ancient times? Lu Ligan still shook his head. Then do you know that there were originally 18 bridges on the Gentian River, making it the river with the most bridges in Hangzhou? When Mr. Han asked again, Lu Ligan was surprised and asked, how does Mr. Han know this? Look at the information. I have a complete set of Hangzhou yearbooks. Don't forget that I am a consultant to the Hangzhou city government. After you called me yesterday, I went to check the information. Only then did I know that the Gentian River you were talking about, it is very famous in the history of Hangzhou. It turned out to be dug by Jian Lu, king of Wuo, and it was originally called Mishi River. Mishi, Lu Ligan asked. Yes, the Rice Market River. The rice entering Hangzhou from the canal must pass through this Rice Market River. Therefore, rice markets of various sizes are formed along the river. Along with the rice market, a market is formed, so, both sides of the river have always been the busiest places in Hangzhou, and there are 18 bridges of different shapes on the river. Lu Ligan said, I didn't expect it to be so prosperous in history, but now it is a smelly river. Both sides of the river are deserted and there is nothing. So when I heard you talk about your transformation plan, it was very dry. But if you knew the history of this river, wouldn't you feel that your plan is too weak? Mr. Han asked. Lu Ligan thought for a moment and laughed, what you said is true. How can such a dry plan like yours impress local governments and scholars? I still want to impress scholars, Lu Ligan was surprised. Of course it is necessary. Don't forget that scholars hold the right to speak and guide public opinion. If they come together to help you appeal, they will be a great force. There will be a lot less resistance. Lu Ligan shook his head, not quite understanding what Mr. Han said. Mr. Han smiled and said to him, your current plan is just to make its water clear. You can't tell how clear it will be. At most, it can ensure that it doesn't stink, but that's not enough. What if you could make it the most artistic river in Hangzhou, the most cultural and historical river? Doesn't it feel a little heavier? You have to restore the history of the Meisi River in Hangzhou and transform this river into a long historical scroll. You have to restore all the 18 bridges on the river. You have to restore the past lifestyle through sculpture, painting, and architecture. It reappears. There are buildings with historical memories along the river, and you have to restore them one by one. If you do this, can you not only impress the government, but also impress the interest of folklorists, local chroniclers, historians, sociologists, and cultural scholars? Will they use various occasions to publish in various media? Go ahead and loudly promote your project. Isn't this more useful than advertising and running around alone? You know, you will ultimately benefit from making this river hot. How much more will it cost you? Building 18 bridges on a river less than 10 meters wide is not a simple matter now. As for those buildings with historical memories, are just some pavilions and pavilions, with 2 floors reaching the top and a small area. They won't cost you much, right? Listening to what Mr. Han said, it's true that this way, the legitimacy of transforming the river seems to be much greater, Lu Ligan said with a smile. It is still necessary. Don't worry, you don't need to emphasize this. Those scholars will emphasize it repeatedly, Mr. Han said. Mainland scholars like to do the most alarmist thing. They will definitely emphasize it repeatedly. Now restore this, the necessity and importance of the river of history. They will also link it with patriotism, revitalization of national culture, etc. You are a bit bad and mean, Lu Ligan said to Mr. Han, and Mr. Han laughed. Then I will be a little bit more bad, Mr. Han smiled and continued. Isn't this river passing through the city center? You just want to make another gimmick, saying that you want to give the ancient river a new life. You want to open a water bus in the river to alleviate the problem of urban traffic congestion. Just build 2. The boat is coming and going, but who will actually ride it? But this has nothing to do with you. The key is whether the words easing urban traffic congestion have more legitimacy. Don't worry, someone will take your water bus to Venice soon. Those reporters like to do this kind of thing. With so many missions and purposes, if you want to transform this river, those who oppose it will not find a reason to oppose it, right? If strong public opinion is created, those units that want to obstruct it, no matter what level they are, they're all very passive, right? Mr. Han, I found that after you have traveled a lot in the mainland, you have really learned bad things. You are very sensible about the people and sophistication of the mainland, Lu Ligan said with a smile. This is called knowing yourself and your enemy, okay? When dealing with so many people, I am not stupid. I will always listen, read, and figure out their thoughts and attitudes, and I will naturally gain a lot of insights, Mr. Han said. By the way, let's talk about it. Your thoughts on the river's transformation. Lu Ligan told Mr. Han his plans after the renovation. Mr. Han said that it is appropriate for your real estate land to account for 35% of the total area. The local government will not object to it. The public space set aside on both sides of the river, there's enough space, but you don't get enough in return. The reconstruction of such large facilities takes a long time and is greatly affected by natural conditions and other man-made conditions. The budget can easily be exceeded. For example, what should you do if it hits the rainy season? The river you just drained will soon be filled with water. It's not filled with water, but with money. Do you have to spend manpower and financial resources to drain it dry again? For another example, what if there is a lot of heavy snow this year, or the frost lasts for a particularly long time? These will affect the construction cycle. This is also the reason why this type of project always exceeds the budget. The construction equipment you rent cannot start work for a month because of the rainy season, but your rent still has to be paid. How much equipment do you need for this project? It also includes the reasons for inflation and on-site management omissions. You have to take all these factors into consideration. I am sure that your final settlement will definitely exceed your budget. Therefore, your return must be high, otherwise your investment risk will be very high. What was your entire building area? Lu Ligan said, 114 to 1.5 million square meters. Mr. Han shook his head, no, you must reach 2 million cubic meters. 2 million cubic meters is reasonable. However, according to the floor area ratio, if I reach 2 million square meters, the real estate area will exceed 35% of the total area, Lu Ligan said. There is a way, Mr. Han said with a smile, there is no floor area ratio problem in your house. Lu Ligan wondered, how could there not be an issue of floor area ratio? Don't forget that the land on both sides of the river is yours. Don't build closed communities one by one. Plan and implement the entire project together. The local government will handle special matters and give you the green light to make the entire project open. Then the entire park on both sides of the river is the public area of your community. How should you calculate your floor area ratio? Mr. Han asked. Lu Ligan suddenly realized that in this case, his floor area ratio can be calculated based on the total area. Of course, there will be no floor area ratio problem no matter how he builds it. Moreover, 35% of the real estate land is scattered throughout the river. In such a vast area, you won't feel crowded at all. You can use the 35% according to the area of each house. But if the whole thing is open, management will be difficult. Lu Ligan thought of a question. If there is anything difficult to manage, you can just strengthen security patrols. You can separate the entire project from other parts of the city. Don't all city parks do this? Mr. Han said. Besides, look at Hong Kong and other countries. Which country or region has as many gated communities as the mainland, and how do they manage them? You have built a wall around it, so you don't need people anymore? It's not that you still need people to manage it. As long as the staffing is in place, there is no question of good management or not, but a question of not fulfilling their duties. By the way, your peach blossom land, doesn't it even have a courtyard wall? Why, those who live in villas are easier to manage than those who live in buildings? Mr. Han asked. Lu Ligan quickly waved his hand. Okay, Mr. Han, I was wrong. I was wrong. You two are here to talk or eat? The food is cold and you didn't even move your chopsticks, Ween Wen shouted. Mr. Han and Lu Ligan both laughed. Lu Ligan raised his glass and said, drink, drink, Louis 13. Okay, the big deal has been decided, feel free to drink. In this way, I will sort out the outline tomorrow and you can come over in the afternoon, Mr. Han said. Thank you, Tin Soldier, third from top to bottom for the tip. Thank you for your monthly votes from Bustling Farce, Yuju, Tianying 1978, and Lao Chen Tang. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Sunday everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 860. Lu Ligan and the others had a good meal, and when they arrived at the parking lot below, Ween Wen asked Lu Ligan, where are you going? I will take you there. Lu Ligan said, forget it, there is no room for so many people, you and Mr. Han should leave first, we can take a taxi ourselves. Mr. Han and Ween Wen left first. Lu Ligan took out his mobile phone and dialed a few numbers. Lao Xie's voice came from the phone, hello, hello, who are you? Lu Ligan said, Lao Xie, I am Lu Ligan. Pole, where are you? The entrance to Nance Huang. The entrance to Nance Huang? Where is the entrance to Nance Huang? Lao Xie asked, confused. Of course it's Haikan. What? Are you in Haikan? Okay, I'll come to pick you up right away. No, Lao Xie, where are you? I'll take a taxi over. Company, I'm in the company. Okay, then I'll be right over. They walked to Haixiu Avenue outside the parking lot and stopped a car. The second-rate guy walked to the front passenger seat. Lu Lepole grabbed him and said to him, you sit in the back. The second-rate guy went to the back happily, and he was already in the car. Ween Wen Qian got into the car and said, Can't you let me enjoy the taste in the middle? Wenwen laughed and said yes. She winked at Qian and got out of the car. She asked the second-rate guy to get in first and sit in the middle, and then she got in again. As soon as the car door closed, Wenwen and Qian squeezed toward the middle. Wenwen asked, "Are you comfortable?" "It's so good. It's so good. I'm going to feel so good," the second-rate guy yelled. The driver and Lu Ligan looked behind through the rear-view mirror and both laughed. Erkuo twitched his nose and said to Wenwen Qian, "It smells so good. Even your sweat smells good. Come on, squeeze out more." Wenwen and Qian laughed and suddenly let him go. The car started and Lu Ligan looked behind him through the rear-view mirror. He sat here just to make sure no one was following them. He couldn't take Ajeng's people to Laos yet. Lu Ligan confirmed that there was no car following him, and then let the driver drive toward the destination without letting him change direction. Otherwise, he planned to take them to Hongcheng Lake for a loop first, and then to East Lake. When Lu Ligan arrived at the gate of Laosie's entertainment city, he saw Laosie standing at the gate waiting for him from a distance. Laosie was still the same, wearing a silk floral shirt, a pair of white trousers, and a pair of white leather shoes. The clothes and trousers on him looked like they were hanging on a clothes hanger. There were no wrinkles at all. The middle seam of the trousers was so sharp that it could cut tofu. The thin layer of hair was neatly combed and not messy at all. When he saw Laosie, Lu Ligan felt a very solid feeling. He looked like a person who had not been exiled by life. Yes, Laosie was the only one among all the people in Haikan who survived that big wave. Seeing the second guy getting out of the car, Laosie asked, "Has Lao Tan returned to Haikan too?" Lu Ligan said no. A group of people walked inside and happened to meet manager Cao coming down from upstairs. Laosie asked Wenwen Qian and Erhuo, "Do you want to sing?" Wenwen and Qian shouted, "I want it." Laosie and manager Cao said, "Take them up and arrange a box for them." Lu Lapole patted the second-rate guy on the shoulder and told manager Cao, "Arrange a girl for him." Manager Cao was a little curious. He looked at Wenwen and Qian and shouted, "They have nothing to do with me. You can also arrange a young master for them." Manager Cao smiled and said, "Okay, I'll make arrangements for you all." Laosie and Lu Ligan said, "Let's go to the office to chat." When passing Laosie and his staff canteen, Lu Ligan asked, "Is the fat man still there?" Laosie knew that he was asking about Master Fu, so he said, "I'm already used to his taste. He's so picky that I can't live without him. How about coming here for dinner tomorrow?" Lu Ligan said yes and really missed his group of Hunan dishes. Lu Ligan sighed, "Laosie, you really haven't changed at all here." "It's still changed," Laosie said. "I have already sold this entertainment city, but I turned around and sold it back to me at 1/5 of the price." Lu Ligan laughed, "How is business now?" "It's just a few friends who want to feel at home here and come to play. There is no money to be made, but these few people can be supported. When people get old, they like to see people they know around them. If one of them is missing, they will feel sad. It's quite good to live peacefully like this." "Good." The two of them arrived at Laosie's office and sat down. Lu Ligan said to Laosie, "Laosie, I haven't had a chance to thank you yet." "No need thank me. Last time you and Lao Zhang helped me get out of the island, otherwise I don't know what would have happened. By the way, there was another person who didn't want to move, and so did Lao Zhang. When I left Hunan, he told me that if you have any projects in Hangzhou, ask him to work on them together. The result is that now, when I ask him to go to Hangzhou, he won't go. What else can he say? The outside world is too complicated now, and he can't even understand it. He still hides in Xiongtan, drinking tea and eating every day. You stinky tofu, just sing and act, it's no longer possible to win outside." Laosie laughed after hearing this. Lao Xie asked about the situation of Zhang Chen and Lao Tan. Lu Ligan told him. Lu Ligan asked Lao Xie if he had seen Chen Qiang and Li Yong later. Lao Xie said no, they should not be in Haikan anymore. Haikan is only a small place, but its current population is not even 1/3 of its original population. If it were here, we would definitely encounter it. Lu Lizan felt a little sad as he listened. The two of them just sat and chatted like this. Unknowingly, they reached 12 o'clock. Lao Xie looked at his watch and asked Lu Ligan whether he should let the fat man make a midnight snack or go out to eat. Is there still a hot pot on Airport Road and Daying Road? Lu Ligan asked. Lao Xie said yes, half of the store was missing and more than half of the people were missing. Then let's go there to eat, Lu Ligan said. Lao Xie picked up the phone on the table, dialed a few numbers, and said, "My Tuo, ask Mr. Liu's friends to come down. We are going to have a midnight snack." Lao Xie drove to Airport Road and parked the car. They got off the car and walked towards Daying Road. When they arrived at Daying Road, Lu Ligan took a breath of air conditioning. It turned out that the hot pot restaurants on both sides of the road had almost opened up to the back door of Wang Heilu. The entire Daying Road ran through it, and now it has shrunk back to the section near Airport Road. Most of the Daying Road is now dark. When Wenwen and Qian saw it, they still shouted, "Wow, there are so many hot pots here." As a group of people walked inside, the shops on both sides came to the middle of the road to solicit customers. They were not soliciting customers, but simply blocking them. If Lao Xie hadn't said that we had an acquaintance's shop, they wouldn't have been able to pass the first few passes. Lu Ligan walked inside. He saw that under the sheds on both sides, there were only about 1/3 of the people sitting in each house. The second-rate man shouted, "You are forced to raise, there are so few people eating hot pot here." Lu Ligan also felt that he seemed to have suddenly lost his appetite. The next morning, Lu Ligan got up. Wenwen and Qian were still sleeping in. Lu Ligan called a second-hand man, and the two of them went to the Longji building. This building, where he once dominated the world and became a smash hit, now even has the following buildings. None of the security guards recognized him. Lu Ligan first arrived at Li Yong's original company, which had long been divided by several small companies. Lu Ligan walked into each company and looked around, but he didn't recognize anyone inside. They asked Lu Ligan what he did, and Lu Ligan said, "I'm here to advertise." Get out, there is no advertising business here." The other party drove them out impatiently. Lu Ligan arrived at his original company upstairs. The place was completely preserved. The new tenant was probably reluctant to remove the decoration inside. Nothing had changed except the company name. The company was called Hainan Dianjing Advertising Co., Limited. The lady at the front desk asked Lu Ligan who he was looking for. Lu Ligan still said, "I am here to promote advertising." The other party smiled and said, "Sir, we are an advertising company here." "That's right, advertising companies don't advertise. Don't you want to recruit people? Why don't you advertise for recruitment?" The other party shook his head. "By the way, Beauty, your company is so big, what kind of advertising do you do to make so much money?" The other party said with some pride, "We are agents for CCTV, and Yefan is ours." "No wonder, it's amazing." The two of them went downstairs. Lu Ligan originally wanted to go to the advertising department of Haikan Evening News to see if Director Huang was there, but when he walked to the gate of Longji building, he didn't want to go. The shadow of a large coconut tree falling from above covered half of the steps at the entrance of Longji building. Lu Ligan and Huo simply sat down on the steps and started smoking. Halfway through the draw, a security guard came out of the lobby of Longji building and came over to them and asked them, "What do you do?" Lu Ligan said, "Those who are passing by, if you are tired, take a rest here." The security guard stretched out his hand and waved it with the back of his hand outwards, signaling them to leave quickly. The idiot got angry and stood up, cursing, "You are forced to sit here for even a moment." Luligan quickly stood up, patted the second guy on the shoulder, and said to him, "Why are you so rude? This is someone else's door. If someone asks us to get out, we should get out immediately and leave." The two people went down the steps, and a taxi happened to pass by. Luligan raised his hand, and the taxi stopped. Luligan got in the car and told the driver to go to Binya village. He wanted to visit Yilin's house. The car turned onto Binhai Avenue, and after a while, it arrived at Binya village. Luligan couldn't help but tremble all over, and felt an inexplicable fear. He didn't know what he was afraid of. He told the driver to turn around and go. Wanghai Tower. When the car arrived at Nandakiao, Luligan thought about it. He felt that he was standing in the yard of Yilin's house, standing on the corridor on the third floor, seeing the room where he had lived for several years, and seeing Yilin's mother. Luligan felt that he was "I can't control myself" and cry. Luligan was very afraid that he would cry, afraid of himself, crying in Haikan. The car stopped at the entrance of Wanghai International Hotel. Luligan went to the bank next door, withdrew 50,000 yuan, handed it to the second person, and told him, "Go to Binya village, the house where the instructor and I used to live. When you see the landlord, give her the money. If she asks, tell her that Zhang Chen and I asked you to bring it. Don't tell her that I am in Haikan, just say that you brought it from the mainland." The second-hand guy said yes. The second-hand guy took the money, got into a taxi and left. Luligan walked into the hotel lobby and sat down on the sofa. Luligan really hoped to see Ah Zheng here. He wanted to ask him, "Are you? If you want to fight one-on-one, come here and I will fight with you." But he saw no one, even in the hotel lobby. He was the only one on the sofa. Thank you for reading the book every day and on the shore 131 for the reward. Thank you for your monthly ticket and have a safe journey. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.